Hey guys, Vikrant here, and as you can see, I'm a bit tired today. I am just coming back from work. It was a long day, a really hard day. I was looking at basically diagrams and drawings throughout, doing some calculations, and incidentally, it has been exactly 1 year today that I started this job. And बहुत हो गया साला नहीं करना है. So, all kidding aside, I just wanted to say thank you. I started this channel 6 months ago just to try and help the student gain a bit more knowledge about Germany and how life is before they come here, at least more than what I had personally. And it has been a fun journey. We are now finally over the 1000 subscriber mark. And big credit of that also goes to Yana. She helped me out a lot. There were some special guests by now, Ashwin, Supro. I think the video shall soon be out. Yana was there. Sunil, a friend of mine, made a audio entry. But it was all in all really fun to do this. I'll continue to make out videos whenever I have the time. But I actually am also starting a part-time job in a investment firm. So it's gonna be a bit harder and I'm gonna be a bit busier, and I'm hoping that other people would step up to the challenge, make videos, just send them to me so I can give it out to you. But meanwhile, this channel has helped me a lot to learn new things, excited me a lot, and kept me busy, and that is something that I really appreciate. I appreciate you guys thinking that my knowledge, my help, whatever I can provide you is good enough to follow and see repeatedly, hopefully. And something curious happened. This job that I am starting right now, the part-time job, ex-employer of mine saw a video of mine and he contacted me and he asked me to help him out. So it has helped me a bit personally also. Also, my university called me for a special career day speech to some students at my university, RWTH Aachen University. It was a great experience for me personally. The first time in my life when I actually got to speak in front of like 150 people. And a friend of mine thankfully recorded that speech. That speech maybe won't help you as much right now, but it will outline my philosophy in life. So if you want to just figure that out, see how students nowadays are in Aachen, see how students, which is basically a representation of students in Germany, what they're doing, how they're doing, and what I am doing personally in my life, what all I did during my my studies to thankfully get this job and party around, chill, enjoy everything that this has made possible. But once again, thank you. Please do not feel obliged to watch the whole video, but if you learn something, please let me know. It makes me feel good to help others out, and all the best for your future. Enjoy. My career path to Areva. I'm 27 years old. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from a university in the south of India, in Chennai. I did my master's here in the Kame program. And currently I'm working as a operations engineer. There's no literal translation for that in English, but I guess most of you know that it's sort of simulation or calculation engineer. And the company was called Areva till last month. From this month it's now Framaton. Why should you guys listen to me? Because I know none of you came here to listen to me. You want to listen to all these distinguished speakers and you want to know more about your future. But I come from exactly the same place you guys are right now. So I was there a couple of years ago. And I want to remind you a little bit of why I understand you. I know many of you are worried about finding your first part-time, finding an internship. How are you guys going to find your thesis, your first job, your German language skills, and even your HR skills? And all of these things I struggled with, and now I have a little bit more experience that I can talk about right now. And I also want to remind you that while you guys are looking at the future, it's always a good thing to look back at your past and remember what you wanted 5 years ago, what you wanted 10 years ago.
Because I'm sure for many of you, as it was for me, coming to Germany, studying at Aachen, and then going on having a job, earning a living was a dream. And you get used to your dreams very quickly when you go through that list of a problem. But once you get used to having that and you look back in your past, you realize, yes, you are not really that bad. Yes, you can do something if you really put your mind and effort into it. And yes, you have actively achieved something in your life. And that confidence and that small ego boost lets you go forward and work a lot more. So you never look back and be sad about what you went through. You look at your experiences and you see that, okay, although I had challenges, I learned from them, and today I am here. And I want to see where I can be in 5 years, in 10 years. And that is what I want you two guys to remember. And most of all, I want you guys to remember that you guys are a lot more accomplished, most of you, than I ever was. But I tried and I kept trying and I kept trying. And if I could do it, there's literally no chance that none of you would not be able to make that same thing happen. A bit more about my journey. I clearly come from India, as you can see from my accent and my face. My hometown is Jaunpur. It's a tiny village near East North India. But I was born and I did my primary schooling near the north part. I did my higher schooling in Vadodara, which is the west of the country. And then I went to do my bachelor's from Chennai, which is the south of the country. I was lucky enough to get my first job and get to the east of the country. So I basically finished my India trip right there. And my first job in Kolkata, we were building overhead metro railway station, and I was employed as a mechanical engineer. And my work was to work with 200 to 250 workers every day, manage them basically. And because that impulse, that teaching, that initial period right at my first job gave me, I decided, no, I want to study more, I want to learn more, because I'm not really up to the task of managing 200 to 250 people right now in my career. So I traveled a lot before coming to Germany, and I finally started my German story, as you guys also did. Aachen, first of all. And this was the best time of my life. I found my first part-time here. I did a mini thesis in the continuum department. I had enough extra time as all of you guys have. So I went to random institutes. I asked them, what are you guys doing? What are you interested in? Is there something I can help you with? And one of those guys needed some help. He contacted me a month later. I worked there, I went and I did an extra thesis just for the enjoyment of having it. And that was in Google, so I got the opportunity to write that on my CV and have the feeling that, okay, in some small part, as a mechanical engineer, I worked in Google. I practiced my public speaking skills. I know I'm not still the best, and I heard some really, really good speakers here, and I'm still very, very nervous in front of you guys. But I tried to improve myself, and this is the end result till now. I hope you guys are not really disappointed. For my first internship, I went to Winterfeld, which is, again, on a bit more on the eastern side of Germany. From Aachen, that is a very different place, a very, very different environment. It's a small city. I was, I think, by far and large, the only foreigner that was ever there in the last 10, 15 years. So I got a lot of attention there from random people, and I did my internship in CAD. But I was always a bit confused of what I want to do. And because of my first job experience, I wanted to be very sure that I know what I'm getting into. So once I had a little experience in CAD, I went to Wolfsburg for a little experience in FEM, that is finite element methods, which is my core subject here. Once again, internship in FEM, and once I had a little more knowledge of what I enjoy more, I decided FEM is the place for me and the thing for me. And I went ahead and I did my master thesis there. As you see, Wolfsburg, a little above East Germany. And then I finished my thesis. And I started searching for my first job. And in that period, while you are searching, you know you need a little funding for a few months. And I got an offer to work at a startup called SimScale in Munich, down there. And I needed a little sustenance. It was a good chance to get a little experience. I took the chance, I went there, and I worked It was the first working full-time experience, although it was for a short-term contract because the company was a startup and they needed people for a very, very small point of time. And from there is where I am currently, in the middle of Germany. I'm finishing once again nearly my German country travels. Here, once again, it's my first job, and I'm happily enjoying my life as a worker after doing my thesis and my student life here in Athens. A little about my current job. I've been employed since last October. What I do is mostly frequency response spectrum analysis. That is to make sure that the equipment used in nuclear power plant is safe in case there's an earthquake or any calamity, or if there's a terrorist attack and there's some airplane crashing or missile attack, to make sure that the plant basically doesn't blow up. So my work is to ensure FEM to do that, not the police work, as some people have asked me already. Most of my work is in German. All discussions are in German, but thankfully the report writing for me till now has only been in English, which saved me a lot of effort in trying to correct my articles. We mostly use ANSYS, RSTAB and RFM softwares to do that. And now let us go to the portion where you guys might be a bit more interested about how I reached the point where I am right now. I did networking to get 2 of those positions. I got recommendations for one of them. I planned and researched the positions. I had a little previous knowledge and I applied to some related positions. I had some previous experience by the time that I could do all that. And you need a little or a lot of luck and persistence at times. So let's go into the details of those. Networking. Debusa. Like all good stories, that was my first part-time job that started with a beer at a bar. I was drinking at one of the bar. I met a Chinese guy. We became friends. We had a couple of beers together. Now he was quitting his job soon, and he got me to the interview table. Once I was there, I had a little previous knowledge of the subject. I was able to convince my employer that yes, I am a good person for the job. But the job was for consultancy of technical aluminum extrusion process. And what he required more than my technical skills was my marketing skills, because I had to go meet the people. I traveled with him twice to India. We went to different companies, different parts of the country. We met with the officers there and we spoke to them. And that is the sort of thing that is more essential at the end, as Dr. I think Stark just said, that a little bit of external talents, not just your core technical talents, that are required. And because he liked me, we'll come to that. But networking was, again, as I told you, I finished my master's thesis. I just graduated. I was starting to search for a job. I called up an old friend. That was literally my first application after master's. I'm really, really happy and proud to say that I didn't have to spend a lot of time searching, because I made friends, and the friends recommended me to his employer. It was once again one of the best technical interviews and toughest technical interviews I ever had. I'm the only interview where I was there for the whole day, answering questions for 6 hours. But also, it was a brilliant interview, and at the end, they wanted me for my technical consulting skills, because they wanted me to talk to the clients every day and explain to them their technical problems and how to solve them in the easiest possible way. Moving on, how I got my first internship. I was working at my part-timer at that point, and now my ex-boss, he knew my skill set and he liked me. So he liked what I did for him, he liked what I was willing to do for him. He recommended me, or he asked rather a friend of his if they have a position for me for an internship, because he understood that I needed an internship. Now his friend didn't have one, but his friend had one, and that got me to that technical interview. And through that small chain of events, I was able to get my first internship. And then once I was there, I started thinking about what is the next step, and I wanted to still see FM positions. And as you guys will soon know, you have to apply to a lot of positions to get that one position that you want. And so I started looking at a lot of positions, and I started planning a researching position. And I found a researcher who was doing very, very good work that I was really interested in. questions. I emailed him, I emailed quite a lot of guys, and I hoped that someone would reply. Ultimately, he replied, and I talked to him for a whole month, asking what you are doing, what is the research paper, how you are doing it, asking him genuine, interesting questions. And I found some research papers that I thought he will find interesting. I sent it to him, and after a whole month of talking, by the time I asked him for a position, he already knew me, he knew what I was interested in, and he knew my skill set, and hence I got that position. And right at that time, I was searching for other positions. This was in a company called Hella, and I had CFD theoretical knowledge, but I really didn't have any practical experience in CFD at that point of time. But I applied for the job, and I showed them that I have interest in CFD, and I have already done lasers, which was Hella's area of focus, and they were happy enough to listen to me and give me the position. And I was still at that time searching, and I suddenly, so all these positions came to me within a week after applying for more than 2 months. And at the time I went to Volkswagen, and Volkswagen offered me, so I had a little knowledge of what they wanted me to do in continuum mechanics through my mini thesis. They wanted me to do the R&D for Audi RA. And that for me was a dream job since I was a child, to work on a supercar in R&D in the world's biggest research factory. So that I could not refuse, and hence I had to unfortunately refuse the other offers. And this was unfortunately right before the diesel scandal. So, so the week that I joined, the scandal went down and winter got resigned the next week. So not the best time to be at Volkswagen, but regardless, one of the best experiences in my life, and take off my bucket list. So I did a thesis on, so supercar research is usually very high tech, and because it was Audi RA, they went all in, and so we had to go all in. And because the deformations that we were trying to produce were extremely high, we couldn't simply do it using traditional FEM methods. So there's new methods, there are meshless methods that are very old. So we mix CFD and FEM. There's a method called CEL, covered Lagrangian method, that we use to do and get extreme deformations and compare the results with the experimental process. And at the same time, we tried a few meshless methods. And the same thing, with a little previous experience now, by the time that I finally applied to my final job, I had enough experience in me because I came to Germany without any experience, just with willingness to learn, as most of you guys did not. You guys already have the experience and the willingness. So I needed a lot of extra time and a lot of extra effort to do that. But one of the tips that I would still give you is, if you find a position that is interesting, call up the HR, ask them about it, get to know a little bit more about the technical person who will be taking your interview, who will be guiding you, and then write and apply according to the position. Just don't blindly apply, because that never really works. Once again, if you have previous experience at a university, at a company, at a small part-time job, all those things at the end do end up mattering a lot. And at the end, you simply need luck. So if you keep applying, at some point or the other, you will get lucky, you would get one of the calls that you want. And as you see, I applied to 103 positions. At the end, I got 4 offers. So there's a lot of competition out there. As Dr. Vargas said, your competition never sleeps, so you need to keep working and keep trying to improve yourself and never give up. And at the end, you just get a simple call. The person on the other end says, I know you applied, you want the position. You say, yes, do you want me to go through my CV? He says, no, there's no requirement. Can you give me the date of your starting? You don't believe him, you ask it on an email. He sends you an email confirming that yes, you do in fact have a position, and hence you get another position. So what I learned from all this experience, and I'll try to speed it up while the time we have is short. You need a little willingness to go spend your time and your money to get to know more people. You have to take that effort. You need to be proactive. You can't just sit at home and hope that these things would come to you. You need to go to bars and parties like this. As a student, that is the simplest way to connect with other people. You have to. You need to talk to strangers in your kitchen, regardless how weird or awkward it seems to you initially. At the end, they end up becoming your best friends. You can go to random institutes, do not disturb people, but knock at doors, ask if there is anything interesting that they're doing and they need help. Because some people always need help, and some of them are really happy to see a person who's willing to come and learn by themselves without asking for money, without asking for experience later, just for the sake of learning. And that gets you also a few contacts which in the future can convert into something useful that you might hope to have them. So make your contacts, use them, but always be willing to do a lot more for them in return, because when they help you, when you need it, you need to help them 5 times over to make sure that the relationship remains strong. It doesn't become a give-take relationship, it becomes a profit world, both give and take, everyone wins. For industry, if you guys are going, I would say prefer industrial internship and master thesis, going by the experiences of my friends. And if you want to go for academics, prefer university positions, take up HEV positions, do your thesis in the university, and it will be an easier career for you. And at the bottom line, please never give up, because you guys have come basically way too far. And you have already all the right skill sets that you need. You just need to get to the time, be patient, spend a little more energy, do a little more things, and at the end, you are there. So just don't give up at this point. You need a little luck, persistence, yes, but I've met some students who gave up right at the finishing line, and that is the saddest thing that you can do. So just try to go on. And a few things that you can do for yourself right now is learn to promote yourself, because no one is going to come to you and say you are the best, you should do this. And your friends would always think something about you, and you can't always make it positive, you can't always change what your friends think about you. But if you keep doing it, ultimately everyone thinks that yes, you are doing something with your life, and yes, they need to learn to follow that same example. So initially it's the hardest thing to take the first step, but once you take the first couple of steps, it becomes a lot easier. And I very easily recognize that it feels awkward when you start, but if you keep doing something for a long enough time, it becomes normal. Right from the quotas to all politicians, to all religious leaders, to everyone that you have ever known on any social media, on any job site, everyone at the end is trying to promote themselves. No one is coming and going to them. And it's an essential skill that everyone here needs to learn, because you need that visibility in your life to be able to say that yes, I am an expert in this subject, and yes, I have published paper, yes, I do understand what I'm talking about. And that also brings the confidence into the people who are listening to you or reading you, that yes, this person does know and is willing enough to go that extra mile and put his name or her name on the thing that they're doing. Employees are Googling you, so try to present a good picture of yourself. Build a network. Do not be too shy. Ask if you want something. Ask if you think you will be good at something, because no one is gonna wait for you. Don't care about everyone's opinion. Obviously, if everyone thinks you're doing something wrong, you are either genius or at a very different spectrum level. But if you are somewhere in the middle, do not look for everyone's approval. Just try to do and be the best that you can be. School is literally over. Do not try to fit in anymore. It's time to try to stand out. And please share your experiences publicly. It's one of the deepest advice that I personally feel that I can give you guys. If they are good, if they are bad. You have a lot of mediums. You can start sharing on YouTube. There's question answer websites. There's LinkedIn. There's Zing. And that gives you some personal satisfaction as well as growth, because you have learned a lot, you have come a long way, and you can teach a lot in the future. Your family is always proud of you if you do a tiny little bit extra that you're not required to do. And that gratification by itself is more important than half the things in your life. And at the end, it can always help you also, because as long as you make the world a win-win situation, everyone wins. To end, I'll give you guys some things that you can go do today. Google out your name, remove all unnecessary pictures from Facebook, from YouTube, wherever they occur. Change your privacy settings. Do not allow everyone to look at your whole life. Grow an online presence. You can do that by LinkedIn, through Zing. You can create, and please go get a professionally taken profile picture for your CV already. Stop treating Facebook as a meme repository. Do not keep posting day in and day out. Everything that you post must have meaning behind it. You are not the world's dumpster for jokes. Do not be that. And go where the market is. I know that is not the highest level advice, and the CEOs would always say try to go and create a market like Steve Jobs, but most CEOs, I think similarly. Do not try to create a market, understand where the market is, where the demand is, and try to mold yourself, at least initially for that. And once you are ready, you have enough experience, you have enough knowledge, you can always create your own market. Work smart, do not just keep working hard. Learn to talk and present yourself. Never just hope that I'm the world's best bathroom singer and I should be awarded like rock stars do. No, it won't happen. Call up a couple of friends, help your friends out today, and maybe someday in the future, when you need help, they will be there for you. And at the end, please try to keep your grades. I know it's very simple advice, and I know not everyone can have the top grades, but as much as you try and the more you try, at least the subjects that matter to you, those subjects, please do try to keep your grades high. Thank you. I guess everyone from Aachen is close to my heart, so all of you, I think half of you already talked to me in some way or the other over the last few years. But if you ever need me, you can contact me through LinkedIn, through Zing, on Quora, you can message me YouTube. You guys can individually take my mobile numbers and contact me if there's any need or any requirement for that. Thanks a lot for your time.